Explain to me what's going on with these press conferences and walk me through what's going on with this tour, man. It just seems to be weird
Yeah,
to start off.
I think
with
I
that.
think the story has kind of caught non-golf people unaware a little bit because it's sort of been building for a couple of years, but maybe people didn't think it was really real. But there's sort of a breakaway tour that is, or not even breakaway, but a startup tour that is funded by essentially the public investment fund in Saudi Arabia that a lot of the top golfers in the world are getting paid a ton of money to go and play for. And this is the first week of its tour. And, I think people have probably heard some about the sort of controversy that Phil Mickelson caused when he kind of said that these were scary MFers that he wasn't sure if he wanted to work with, and it caused a whole kerfuffle. A lot of people thought it might be dead, but this tour kind of keeps rising again, kind of like The Undertaker, and now it is really sort of threatening the PGA Tour's sort of singular business model in professional golf. And so today was the first time we saw Mickelson emerge from a self-imposed hiatus that he sort of took after these comments came out in a book that Alan Shipnuck wrote about Phil. And Phil, I would say the best way to describe how he was sort of contrite, but also a little bit still calculating, trying to kind of shore up his side of things and temper down some of the criticism that he's faced. And, I think that this thing is really here to stay, and the PGA Tour has got its hands full in terms of what it's going to do, because more and more people, I think, are going to see that, well, there hasn't been that much backlash to guys doing it. And so I want to go there and get my 150, 200 million like Phil and Dustin Johnson and Bryson DeChambeau did.
All right, so that's because you mentioned Bryson DeChambeau, Patrick Reed also joining this tour. It was announced today, and that's you mentioned that figure, $200 million for Phil, and we're here on NBC Sports on Peacock, as well as NBC Sports Audio, SiriusXM on the Rich Eisen Show. Back with the Rich Eisen Show here on terrestrial radio audience. Kevin Van Valkenburg of ESPN joining us here on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line. Kevin, you mentioned $200 million fee for Phil, and you also said for Dustin Johnson. I mean, is this equity firm that is funded by the Saudis giving out a quarter of $1 billion almost to every single player that says yes to playing on this tour? Is that what's happening?
Not every single player is getting that, certainly. Some of the big names, the big fish, in particular, Phil was kind of one of their big targets, because not only was he willing to come do it, but he was, willing to sort of recruit other players and try to set up the model for how the league could be run. And so, no one knows exactly like how many millions some people are getting, but you hear 30 million for guys who have one PGA Tour win, who are young, and $1 million here for guys who were a few years ago the U.S. Amateur champion or the NCAA champion. And so it's a mixture of kind of old and young. And I think the complicated thing is that the Saudis have decided that it's in their best interest to kind of show the world that they're a country that can be invested in and taken seriously, and that they want businesses in particular to sort of look at stuff like their investments in Formula One, their investments in this tour, their purchase of Premier League teams, and say, I think I'm comfortable investing in Saudi Arabia. The public backlash isn't that significant. We don't have to always talk about Jamal Khashoggi and some of the executions that they've carried out on LGBTQ people. So I think that it's not really a tour. You have to think of this, Rich, like none of this is intended to ever make back this money. They're not giving Dustin Johnson or Phil Mickelson this money because they think we'll turn a profit in a few years on the golf. They're fully comfortable, it seems like, losing all that money because the sort of larger goals are they want to build cities in Saudi Arabia. They want European and Asian and American money to feel comfortable coming into their country. And, it's a complicated moral issue, but I think that their bet is looking like it could sort of be the right one because they have a lot of money to throw around. And for every time that people talk about, hey, wasn't that neat when Bryson won that tournament in Portland or Bedminster or Jeddah or, wherever they end up playing, Trump Doral, that was a great opportunity for them to sort of launder their reputation a little bit after some kind of pretty controversial things.
Kevin Van Valkenburg of ESPN right here on the Rich Eisen Show. So when this kimono gets lifted in the manner in which you've described in a question and answer period with these players in these introductory press conferences, what are their responses to it?
Well, it's clear that they've all been coached to sort of sell this as, no, this isn't about the money. This is about growing the game and reinventing golf. And, we want to bring a younger crowd to golf. And, it just doesn't really feel like any of them believe any of that deep in their hearts. Like, they wouldn't be here if it was sort of just about growing the game of golf. And in some ways, like, you almost wish they could just say, like, you know what? It's a lot of money, and I decided to take it because I want to make a lot of money and I want to work a lot less. And I don't really care about the implications to the PGA Tour, which is set up as a nonprofit. I don't care what that means for the future of those other people who stay. I want to make a lot of money. And, it's kind of funny to sit there and hear guys talk about, the reason that I'm coming to play this tour is because it has a shotgun start. Not, because I'm getting $100 million. I really like the idea of a shotgun start so that everyone has a fair draw. And if he's almost kind of chuckle sitting there because some of them trying to sell it with a straight face, some of them are better at selling it than others. And in that respect, nobody's been better at selling products than Phil Mickelson since Arnold Palmer, really.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.